Welcome back to Elite Star Global, the channel where we go beyond the spotlight and into the soul of the music that moves the world. If you are here because you love Il Volo, then you already know, these are not ordinary men. Piero Barone, Ignazio Boschetto, and Gianluca Ginoble do not simply perform. They pour every ounce of breath, blood, and vocal muscle into every single night they stand before an audience. And that is exactly why what we are about to discuss should terrify every fan who loves them. What happens when the concert of your life becomes the concert that breaks you? Because right now, behind the standing ovations and the golden stage lights, something is quietly unraveling. The 2026 World Tour, Buenos Aires, São Paulo, Rome, Madrid, Tokyo, is a triumph of ambition. But ambition, when it is built without mercy, becomes something else entirely. It becomes a machine. And machines do not rest. The question no one wants to ask is this: at what cost? It started with a single video. Filmed from the third row of a sold-out arena in São Paulo, the clip was grainy, the audio imperfect, but what it captured was unmistakable. Midway through a performance of Grande Amore, Piero paused. Not the kind of pause that is rehearsed or theatrical. This was different. This was the pause of a man searching for air that his body was refusing to give him. The crowd, 60,000 strong, went silent in a way crowds only go silent when something real is happening. Not scripted. Not staged. Fans watching from home described it as a cold wave washing over them. One supporter from Milan wrote on a fan forum, "My heart stopped. For 3 seconds, I did not know what I was watching." That video was shared over 400,000 times in 72 hours. It ignited a conversation that the world of classical crossover had never had before. A conversation about what we are actually asking of these voices. About what a setlist truly costs. A setlist is not just a list of songs. It is an engineering decision. When you look at the structure of Il Volo's current world tour program, what you find is a relentless vertical climb with almost no plateau. The opening number detonates like a cannon, full orchestral power, all three voices at maximum resonance. By the third song, they are already performing operatic passages that require breath control most trained singers reserve for the apex of a performance. By the seventh song, they are giving encores that demand the kind of vocal output that should belong to a finale. There is no strategic rest built into the architecture. There is no moment where the voice is allowed to coast, where the sound drops to a whisper and the crowd leans in just to hear something intimate and soft. Every song is a mountain. Every transition is a summit. You could feel the exhaustion not just in the occasional stumble, but in the tightness around Gianluca's jaw as he reached for the high notes in the second act, and in the way Ignazio's eyes closed a beat too long between phrases, not in ecstasy, but in concentration born of pain. Classical vocal coaches who have studied recordings of recent performances speak about this in grave terms. The human voice, they explain, is not a trumpet. It is living tissue, muscle, membrane, cartilage. It needs recovery. It needs silence the way a sprinter needs recovery miles between races. When you deny it that recovery, you do not just risk a bad night. You risk permanent damage. They will never tell you they are hurting. That is the Brotherhood Code. This is perhaps the most devastating truth embedded in this story. Piero, Ignazio, and Gianluca did not grow up as solo artists who learned the luxury of protecting themselves first. They grew up as a trio. Bound by something deeper than contract or strategy. They grew up carrying each other. When one of them flags, the other two compensate. When one voice thins under fatigue, the other two swell to cover it. It is instinctive. It is beautiful. And it is dangerous. Because what this means, practically, is that their internal alarm system has been rewired. They do not stop when one of them is struggling. They accelerate. The stage becomes an act of collective sacrifice rather than collective expression. Audience members who have attended multiple nights in the same city on the current tour have noted something heartbreaking. The performances on night 3 of a run are technically extraordinary, but the joy is quieter. The spontaneous laughter between phrases that fans adore, the little off-script moments where they glance at each other with the pure delight of men who still cannot believe their own lives, those moments are fewer. The machine is running. But the men inside it are tired. Behind the scenes, according to production staff who have worked Il Volo engagements across multiple tours, the dressing room silence after certain shows is the loudest thing in the building. Ice packs. Steam. Hushed voices. And the kind of mutual, unspoken acknowledgement that exists only between people who love each other too much to say aloud what they are both feeling. The global fanbase felt it before anyone in management seemed willing to say it. Across fan communities from Argentina to Japan, a quiet alarm began to sound. Not panic, these fans know Il Volo too well for panic. But concern. Deep, specific, informed concern from people who have listened to these 3 voices for over a decade and understand every shade of what their instruments are capable of and what they sound like when they are being pushed past the edge of safe. A fan in Tokyo held up a handmade sign that read, "Your rest is our gift to you." That sign went viral in Il Volo fan communities within hours. Because it captured something the broader conversation had been circling without landing on. The audience's desire to see these men perform is real. But it is not more powerful than the audience's love for the men themselves. Fans were beginning to say, in Italian, in Spanish, in Japanese, in Portuguese, what the industry had not yet said: this pace is not sustainable. These 3 human beings are more important than any setlist, any gross ticket revenue, any tour milestone. The conversation shifted definitively on a night in Madrid. It was the 4th consecutive performance in 6 days, a scheduling density that would challenge a rock band with amplification, let alone 3 tenors performing predominantly acoustic classical crossover with full operatic passages. The venue was the Palacio de los Deportes de la Comunidad de Madrid, capacity 22,000. Every seat filled. The energy in the room was seismic. They opened with power. They always do. But as the second half unfolded, something in the room changed. The audience, many of whom were attending their 2nd or 3rd Il Volo show on this tour, began to feel it. Not a failure of performance. The performance was magnificent by any objective measure. But there was a thinness at the very top of certain phrases. A microsecond of delay before certain breath attacks. Small things. Things that only love teaches you to hear. Afterwards, a video emerged, shot by a crew member and later shared privately among fans. Of the 3 of them backstage, seated, heads back, eyes closed. Not celebrating. Not laughing. Just breathing. 3 extraordinary human beings, alone with the cost of what they give. You could feel the weight of what those moments hold. The absolute, unguarded reality of what it means to be Il Volo at the peak of a world tour with no room built in for being human. And then came Rome. The final Italian date. The Circus Maximus. An ancient amphitheater that has held the sound of human triumph for 2,000 years. 70,000 people gathered under an open sky. And when Il Volo walked onto that stage, something happened that no stage manager, no lighting director, no tour producer could have scripted. The crowd, 70,000 voices, began to sing back to them before they had sung a single note. A spontaneous, swelling, unplanned tide of love that rose up from the Italian earth and wrapped around 3 young men from Marsala, Noto, and Monteprandone. Gianluca, who almost never shows emotion in the first moments of a show, who channels nerves into stillness, turned away from the microphone for 4 full seconds. Piero reached across and placed one hand on his shoulder. Ignazio looked out at the crowd with an expression that has no translation in any language except the one spoken between people who have just been told they are loved in the most overwhelming possible terms. And then they sang. Not perfectly. Not with the clinical precision of a rehearsed opener, but with something so much more rare. They sang with everything they had left. And what they had left was still more than most artists give in a lifetime. Here is what must be said clearly and without hesitation: the way this tour is structured is a conversation that must happen, between management, between vocal coaches, between the men themselves, and yes, between fans and the industry that serves them. Because Il Volo is not a product. Piero Barone is not a product. Ignazio Boschetto is not a product. Gianluca Ginoble is not a product. They are human beings with irreplaceable voices and irreplaceable lives, and the architecture of exhaustion that has been built around them reflects something broken in how we treat the artists we claim to love most. Great music does not require martyrdom. A set list can be redesigned. A tour schedule can be rewritten. Recovery nights can be built in. Vocal rest protocols can be enforced. The knowledge exists. The tools exist. What needs to exist is the will, from every layer of this ecosystem, to choose the long arc of these voices over the short-term revenue of a relentless schedule. Il Volo's legacy is not one world tour. It is not one season of sold-out arenas. It is the decade still ahead of them, the recordings not yet made, the duets not yet sung, the performances not yet given in cities still waiting to hear their names. Their greatest concerts may not have happened yet. And that is exactly why this moment, right now, in the middle of the 2026 World Tour, is the moment to choose differently. Because the most extraordinary thing about Piero, Ignazio, and Gianluca is not their voices alone. It is what those voices carry. 60 years of operatic tradition carried into the 21st century. The grief of parents who immigrated and dreamed. The faith of communities who gathered around a television screen in 2009 and watched three boys open their mouths and change the world. The love of fans on 6 continents who have found something in this music that the rest of life sometimes fails to give them: beauty, meaning, the sense that the world is still capable of producing something transcendent. That is what is at stake. Not a tour. Not a set list. Not a revenue target. The voices of 3 men who carry all of that. And they deserve. They have earned the right to carry it for as long as their lives will allow. Rest is not weakness. For Il Volo, rest is the most radical act of generosity they could offer the future. If you love them, truly love them, you already know what to hope for. White Medium Star. Subscribe to Elite Star Global White Medium Star for more stories that go behind the music.